The power of community. What is really important is that I think what is really important is you see we have a need to communicate, right? As soon as we got 2 seconds, we want to interact with each other, with other humans, and we're still doing that. I know my friend is always talking this one, and so that's one of the reasons why. I created LongevityDocs. So the story, I'm a pediatric cardiac surgeon by training. I studied to travel in different developing countries when I was 21, building cardiovascular program and preventative cardiovascular program really early. And so I discovered not only the power of prevention versus the power of surgery, but as well, how do you scale preventative program to fight diseases that are preventable? The problem is, right now, we are facing something that is totally different, right? It's not only diseases, but it's really unhealthy aging. And then you can put a lot of different things on unhealthy aging, right? And we talked about the brain, the heart, the menopause, but whatever organs or hallmark of aging you have under this description, today, healthcare is not designed to take care of it. And this is really interesting because when you sign up, on the first day of medical school, you are like, full of dream and hope that you're going to save the world and treat every, patient the same, etc. And then you get into the, whatever. I don't know how you call it, right? You define it the way you want in your head. And so you get into the system. And the system is actually not designed, wherever you're from, I'm from France, I live in New York, is not designed to help people live healthier or longer and reach happiness and, and vibrancy in your life. It's not totally designed for that. We are trained in medical school to be the best in the world at doing one operation, at providing one treatment, and at basically operating in a really, really specific niche of medicine, right? And so this system I've been designed, I'm from the Medical School of Montpellier, created in 1492, right? That hasn't changed since. And so what is interesting is, I think today, how many doctors or trained medical doctors in the room here? Oh, wow, that's crazy. Oh, wow. So ARDD needs to be rebranded a little bit. So I think there's this shift right now. You are here for a reason. And this talk is not a lecture, it's for you. So I'm going to hear about you as well and what you think is needed in the space. So why longevity medicine? Look, I'm not trying to get and speak after Andrea or Eva, impossible. But I try to ask the question, what would be the dream, right, if we had a medicine that would be focusing only on longevity and bringing health back into the equation of human body and humanity? And that's what I figured out. I'm happy to listen to you. What would you add on, obviously the 4P or 5P, preventative, personalized, precision, participatory, et cetera, but patient-centered instead of disease-focused, right? How do you think about the data that you gather, right? We gather data and information from, the questionnaire and the consultation. Now you have so many other data that we don't, as, the healthcare system, gather or analyze. What are the evidence that drives your decision? So you have evidence-based, evidence-informed, evidence-generated. Do you have any science that backs it up? We're talking about all the supplement, HRT, et cetera. And in this field, you can do a lot of things. You can do sauna, IVs, gene therapy, stem cell, exosome, PRP, meditation. What is validated? And how do you validate that? From Harvard Medical School, you want clinical trials. Do we have clinical trials in longevity? Some of them. A lot? No. Do we need more? Yes. How do we do that? Who's going to finance it? That's the problem. Who's going to pay? Longevity doctors? I don't think so. Other type of industries? Let's see, maybe. So we need a medicine that is focused on the whole person, right? The whole body, holistically. We need to leverage all the new technologies, right? From AI to wearables to new devices. It is important to have all those tools to create a new medicine and not a medicine that was created, centuries ago, right? And so I try to define, and that's again my definition, but I love to hear, maybe 5 of you, your own definition. And so I don't have a wording, I have this. So this graph for me is, we've been trained here, conventional medicine, right? And so we are focusing on disease, sometimes disease prevention, on function restoration, and there's something that's called, functional, holistic, integrative medicine. I'm sure you heard of that, and I'll tell you the story about why I started LongevityDoc. Functional medicine is the root cause of those disease, so I would say prevention as well, managing the disease, system optimization. And then you have another one, this circle of regenerative medicine, focusing on restoring not only the function, but as well optimizing the system. And so this is probably not a perfect definition, but I think longevity medicine at the end is harnessing all the best of the different, medicine, and then being on the center, delivering a care, that is focused only on health span and lifespan. And so I just wrote this kind of level of, the pyramid, the longevity medicine pyramid, where, you have a foundational level at the beginning, advanced level, and then an expert level. And so without getting into all the details, I think there is different, categorization of this longevity medicine, right? We put a lot of different definition within it, and I think there's not a perfect one again. This is the one I like the most. I think longevity medicine is just good medicine, right? It's a medicine that takes care not only of the disease, but is trying as well to bring you to the next level, to optimize your function, your organs, and then optimize the time you live, right, in a healthy state. And so that's why we basically created LongevityDocs. So LongevityDocs came from a small dinner that, we got after an A4M meeting. And at A4M, have you been to Las Vegas in A4M or not? Yeah, okay. It's a lot of people. And so I couldn't find any other doctors to talk to. And so I did a small dinner, and we started a WhatsApp group. I think we were like 8. And all of a sudden, this group grew, right? And the question were, what type of test do you do, right? What type of study do you read? How do you get information? Do you know someone who does this, this, and that? I want to do a hyperbaric chamber with the expert, etc. And so, in a really selfish way, I got into longevity because I had cardiovascular issue as a cardiac surgeon. And so years ago, because of all my journey in the OR, I was probably, overweight. My, lipid was not perfect. I have a little bit of high blood pressure, and I was sleeping 4 hours a night for years. And even though I felt I was, superhuman, like the report didn't show that, right? And so we had the lipoprotein little a tested, right? Is it high? Yeah? Okay. So you see? So I tested that. My lipoprotein little a was high, so I was fucked. I was like, there is no, what's the solution today? It is hard to find a solution. And so that's where digging and looking at exactly what happened in my body, I found that exactly, those 3 circles. There is a solution. At some point, you can even, think about how combining all those different, topics together. So long story short, after this meeting at A4M, we said, wow, that's incredible. There's so many people in the same place, but yet, so you raise your hand, you're a you're a physician. Where did you train regarding longevity medicine? What is your longevity medical school? Like, no one raised their hand. There's none. And it's not a specialty. And I don't think it should be, or I don't know if it should be, right? And so that's the question. What is really longevity medicine, and why do we think there is actually a specialty for that, right? Isn't that just, again, good medicine? And so all those longevity docs from the WhatsApp group, we brought them together in rooms like this, to have those discussions around the hot topic, the validated one, the non-validated one, right? The controversial topic, and the one that were, I would say, more accepted, because, there's a lot of pressure here. There's Harvard Medical School, there's Mayo, there's Cleveland, there's, what is accepted by conventional medicine, but what is as well asked by the patient, right, David? Patient are coming and say, this is what I want. And I'm going to get it anyway. What are the evidence? What are the study behind that? And so basically, our mission is to build this network of doctors, this community, right? We're not a society, we're not an organization to create guidelines. It's a network for longevity doctors that can partner with other organizations and society. But the goal is really to democratize a medicine that is focused on evidence and a medicine that can basically leverage, education, network, and research. The goal is, and the vision is really to be like this home for longevity medicine. And we're doing that into four different things. The community, right? And so we are from the LongevityDocs here. I see like several, yeah. Okay, so probably, half a dozen. The community, the events that we hold, education, so we do master classes, regular meetings, but especially right now, the Institute. Something really interesting is what we realize is the N of 1 studies. Right? People want to study their patient. They want to study their own protocol. I mean, they're happy to learn what's happening in, next door in the next country, right? But they want to know what works in terms of their protocol in their own patient. And so the idea is, how can we unify those doctors together? Physicians are actually treating patients, and today from this WhatsApp group, we grew it, in few months to 200 physicians in 40 countries. And so, I'm super grateful, and so I'm here basically to kind of represent a lot of them and saying there is no one voice, right? There's a community of people. They operate in different ways, right? Depending on the culture, on the country, on the compliance, and the idea is, can we unify that, as information, as data, to prove that longevity medicine is actually impactful and can be scaled, right? And so that's why we launched this virtual institute. It's a federated network where we can do patient registry. So we're launching patient registry, and we award evidence decentralized clinical trial. Not only for the doctors, each doctor can become an investigator, but as well for the company when they want to validate a protocol, want to validate, a membership program, or they want to validate a wearables. There are ways to provide solution, right, and do N of 1 studies with patients. And so imagine a world where you have all those doctors working together, bringing all these patients and monitoring all those multi-omics data in real time, right? And bringing that back to wherever agencies are. I think that's going to be the power of longevity medicine. Just proving that what we do actually impacts, health span and lifespan for good, not just on a good marketing and on a website. And so to do that, we developed as well a longevity platform, an EMR that gather all those multi-omics data in one place for physician, but as well for patient. So each doctor can basically monitor their own patient, right? But then collaborate in a really federated way and have access to other patient data. And I remember, as a heart surgeon, you have to have a registry where you have to put your, mortality rate, the type of surgery you were performing, your success rate, and it was shared publicly. And that's why I think that's what we're missing today, right? We're sharing the success, but we don't share the outcome. And that thing is really different. Success and outcome are different. And so once we're gonna be able to do that, I think we're gonna be recognized as a longevity medicine, a great medicine, a good medicine, not only for the patient, but as well for the rest of the community. So we're doing as well some events, and so the mastermind, we have one in New York on this October, the 5th and the 6th, but we're doing as well retreat for doctors, right? Where doctors can come together and brainstorm about the future of medicine. And I think that's what is really important, right? Bringing the doctors together like today, but spending time together so we can build a better future for medicine. At the same time, I think there's something, that is missing, is how do we bring other stakeholders in the longevity space, the investors, the government, the policymakers, right? And then bring them around the table with the doctor, being a spokesperson for the industry of longevity medicine. And so that's what I imagine, a world where, a longevity doctor is not only a doctor, but is a leader that can inspire the community around them, not only the patient, but their family, their son, like we saw the movie, and the policymaker, because that's the only way to impact humanity is to bring longevity medicine at scale, right? And become a population health initiative. So if you're a longevity doctor, I think everyone should be a longevity doctor. So this is what I like to say. I mean, you can join the movement, learn more about us, and of course, I want it to be short so I can answer all the questions. And I think get your feedback on how do you feel being a doctor today in this field. I love to hear Andrea, what do you feel?
Great.
You feel great. You see, that's why you have to do like Andrea. But not everyone is like Andrea. That's the problem. Do you sleep enough? Oh, you see, she doesn't answer that. That's not a good question. That's not a good question. Okay, go ahead.
I think this is a great talk. Some conversations I have had, people have mentioned that longevity is not... Sorry, thank you. In some conversations, I've heard that doctors complain that this longevity medicine is not being taught in medical schools. So I'd like to ask if there are any efforts to reform the curricula or to bring these ideas down into the education establishments.
Yeah, I think the number one platform is, Professor Evelyn Bischoff, and then, with the Longevity Education Hub, is really a first step for every doctor, primary care specialist in the conventional health system that wants to start being, initiated. I think there is as well other organizations. And again, I think longevity medicine doesn't really exist as a specialty, but you can get trained in, functional medicine and regenerative medicine and follow leaders as well, like the one around us to learn more. I think this is really important, but at some point, I think it will become maybe an additional, program and curriculum. And so I'm right now an advisor at Mount Sinai Medical School, and Professor Zaid Fayyad is trying right now to push the narrow with the CEO of Mount Sinai, right, to start an institute. And I think the institute is just to treat, rich individual in New York, right? The institute is really to create a momentum, right, within a medical education to see is there a fellowship, is there something that can come from the academia? I mean, and you've seen today, Cleveland, Harvard, and then Mayo, they're here. It means in the future, probably, if there is enough demand in terms of medical students and doctors, things will change. Again, the demand is coming from us, the physician. So I'm optimistic.
Great. I'd like to open the floor for both speakers.
Oh, yeah,
if
sorry.
anyone else would like to, yes.
Thank you so much. I'm a clinical endocrinologist here from Denmark. My heart is with you and with preventive medicine and with doing something about the health of the people. But listening to your talk, I'm also concerned about emergency room in the hospitals, the large number of patients that need to be treated, the resources in the public hospitals, the international perspective of health needs, which is not really to optimize health, but at least to make some improvement in the basic health of a lot of people. And I'm worried that these questions are not being discussed, contemplated, or even among young doctors. What are you going to do about them in the future?
Yeah, but you see, that's why some of us left ER, right? Is because there is no solution. And I don't think the solution are coming from the doctors. However, if the doctors are becoming community leaders to inspire a community not to age with disease, and look, what are the first cause of consultation in the ER, right? Instead of broken arms and stuff like this, right? Stroke, chest pain, abdominal pain, diabetes, etc. And so those are things that are preventable outside of the ER, right? And so I think if you have a doctor that is here to prevent and manage the disease, early on, before they even appear, then you don't have to have this critical mass of patients coming from, disease that are really linked to an healthy lifestyle. And that's why I call it the unhealthy aging. Because you age, but you're alone. You age with the disease. You age, without knowing what's happening into your body. So I think today, what's human longevity, Atria and others are doing is like opening a window into your body that wasn't available before, right? Before, the technology. And so if you look at lipoprotein A, ApoB, or even clearly, which is, analyzing the soft plaque in your heart, right? that didn't appear, that didn't exist before. Even the calcium score wasn't accepted a decade ago, right? And so I think right now we understand there is like tests that can prevent the disease before you get to the ER. So I think instead of fixing and putting a Band-Aid on the ER, I would try to say, and how can we fix the problem? And you know, there is some government trying to push that, you know, the UAE, you know, Singapore, they really have public initiatives. So, you know, I think it's about the leadership. And again, you can do that in smaller population, you know, with 400 million people in the US, and that's a different story. But,
Okay, I'm sorry, we are
sorry,
going to have to
you
end
get
here.
passionate about it.
We have to end here. Thank you, everyone, for this engaging session. Thank you to our speakers. We will try to take a 5-minute bio break and return to the room. Thank you so much, everyone.